This is the video for long division. We're going to do 2.3 is remainder and factor theorem, so we're going to start with long division. So long division you did in Algebra 2, and we're going to do it again. It's just like you kind of did in elementary school. We're going to do 6x cubed minus 25x squared plus 18x plus 9 divided by x minus 3. Your goal is to try to make this x match this term. So you need to figure out what times x gives me 6x cubed. And that would be 6x squared. And then I'm going to multiply. 6x squared times x gives me 6x cubed. Then 6x squared times negative 3 gives me negative 18x squared. And just like you do in elementary school, you're going to subtract this whole line. Well, instead of writing a minus sign out here, which a lot of people would subtract this but do this, my suggestion is just change both signs. So I'm going to change this 6 to a minus, and that becomes a plus. And then that gives me negative 25x squared. This reduces to 0. Negative 25x squared plus 18x squared gives me a negative 7x squared. Bring down your next term. And then again, what times x gives me negative 7x squared, which would be a minus 7x, multiply. Negative 7x times x gives me negative 7x squared. Negative 7x times negative 3 is positive 21x. Change the signs. This becomes negative. That gives me a positive 18, and a minus 21 gives me minus 3. Bring down the last one. And then what times x will give me negative 3x. So that's going to be a negative 3. So my negative 3x, negative 3 times x gives me negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 gives me a positive 9. And when you change all of the signs, you end up with a remainder of 0. So this is going to be my answer for division. This one went in evenly. Okay, next one I have 9x cubed minus 3, except, hold on. Let me fix this. This should be 9x cubed minus x minus 3. I typed it wrong. So it should be 9x cubed minus x minus 3 divided by 3x plus 2. Okay, so I'm going to do, you'll notice that you're missing, oops, you're missing the x squared term. So when you do that, you need to put a 0 in its place. Let's do this over here. So 9x squared plus 9x cubed plus 0x squared minus x minus 3 divided by 3x plus 2. And then again, I'm going to do the same thing. Figure out what times 3x is 9x cubed. And that's going to be 3x squared. That'll give me 9x cubed plus 6x squared. I multiplied 3x squared times 3x gave me 9x cubed. 3x squared times 2 gave me 6x squared. Change the signs. A 0 minus 6 will give me negative 6x squared. Bring down my minus x. And then I have to figure out what times 3x will give me negative 6x squared. That's a negative 2x. So that's going to give me a negative 6x squared minus 4x. That's a minus sign. So I did a minus 2 times 3x gives me negative 6x squared. Negative 2x times 2 gives me negative 4x. Change my signs because you're subtracting the whole line. A minus x plus 4 gives me 3x minus 3. And then you have to figure out what times 3x gives me 3x, which is just a 1. That gives me 3x plus 2. And when you change signs, this time you have a remainder of negative 5. So if you remember from elementary school, you write your remainder over your divisor. So my answer is 3x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 5 over 3x plus 2. Or you can put a plus and negative 5 in here, or a minus. It doesn't make a difference. It'll give you the same thing. Or you can just put that minus a 5 over the 3x plus 2. Okay, now let's look at synthetic division. Synthetic division can only be done when it's a linear factor in the form of x minus whatever. It can't be 2x minus 3. A linear term is anything that's a line. So you don't want it like 2x minus 3, which is still technically linear. It has to be x. It has to be the form of 1x minus something. So for synthetic division, you're going to take all your leading coefficients, including 0 for any missed coefficients. So you're going to take the 6, the negative 25, the 18, and the 9. So you're 6, negative 25, 18, 9. And then this x minus 2, if I set it equal to 0, gives me a 2 that I'm going to use on the outside. Then you're going to pull down the first term. 2 times 6 is 12. Then you're going to add negative 13. And then 2 times negative 13 is negative 26. 18 minus 26 is negative 8. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. And then 9 minus 16 is negative 7. So in synthetic division, the last number is your remainder. The number next to it is your constant term. That's the one without an x. And then this is the coefficient for x squared. And you work your way up. So this is 6x squared minus 13x minus 8 minus a 7 over. And you put it over the original one, the x minus 2, not the 2. So it's over x minus 2. And that is how you do synthetic division with things that are the form of x minus 2. But what happens if you have a number in front of your x? Okay, so 2x minus 3 is still linear. Sometimes it's not in the form of ax minus, or it's in the form of ax minus b, and it needs to look like x minus. So you need to do a little work before we start the synthetic division. So I'm going to kind of rewrite this out. This is 10x cubed minus 13x squared plus 5x minus 14 over 2x minus 3. In order for this to be able to use synthetic division, there needs to be no 2 here. So in order to do synthetic division, I need to get rid of the 2, which means I'm going to divide the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2. That's going to give me 5x cubed minus 13 halves x squared plus 5 halves x minus 7. You need to divide each one of these coefficients by 2. And then it'll be x minus 3 halves. And so this is what you're going to do in synthetic division, which I'm going to do on the next screen. So you either need to pause it and write this down or go on to the next screen.